I've gotten shredded before, but I went about it in completely the wrong way. Right now, I'm halfway through a cut, and these are the 7 habits that pretty much changed everything and made this journey 1,000 times easier. Number 1, I stopped being a calorie deficit merchant. This is probably like the most important change that I've made to make losing weight so much easier. Like, for example, this is me at 74.5 kilograms eating like 1,800 calories. And this is me currently at 77.5 kilograms eating 2,600 calories. I look way better eating more calories at a higher body weight. Now, the only reason that this is possible is because I stopped dropping my calories so damn low every single time I diet. Because like when I was dropping calories like mad, I was literally losing so much weight every single week, which was kind of, exciting for me because I never really lost weight before. Now, the problem is that I lost so much muscle, which basically means that even though I was losing weight week by week, my body fat percentage wasn't dropping that much. Now, obviously, this is a problem because I wanted to be lean and muscular at the end and not just end up skinny fat. And like, not to mention, because I was so low calories, I was literally tired every single day. I was literally so hungry and I just hated my life. So instead of dropping calories like crazy, this recent cut, I've started my calories at maintenance level whilst jacking up my output as much as humanly possible. Like at the start, I'm talking about like 10k steps a day, 20 minutes of cardio 5 times a week. In this cut, I'm making pulling from food my absolute last resort. Every single time that my weight loss plateaus, I'm going to be looking to either increase output, like through either steps or cardio. And then if it's at a point where like I'm doing so much cardio every single day and I would rather pull from food, that's when I'm going to take away 200 calories. But basically, because my activity now is so high and I've got a bit of muscle mass, I can still lose weight on 2,600 calories. And that's not it. Like I'm getting stronger in the gym week on week, and I'm getting like more physically fit as well because of all the cardio that I'm doing. Like there is literally only upsides to increasing your calories and increasing your output at the same time. Now, obviously, when I end my cut at around like 9 or 10% body fat, obviously like I'm gonna have to go low calories. That's just like part of the game. It's gonna be a necessity. But at that point, I'll only be low calorie for like a couple of weeks before, I go back up to maintenance. But for the majority of the time for my cut, I'm just gonna be chilling on high calories, high output, enjoying life pretty much whilst still losing weight. This is honestly such like a big paradigm shift for me because I was always one of those people that in order to get like extremely lean, you have to go like sub 1,800. I was eating like 1,600 calories at the end of my last cut, which is absolutely crazy to think about now. But if you're one of those people, I strongly urge you to add in more calories, but still maintain your high output. And trust me, you're gonna be as surprised as I am. Now, I pretty much got all of this from a YouTube channel called Tom Sergi, and his advice is absolutely insane. So shout out to him, go check him out if you want. Now, point number 1 leads us directly on to point number 2, which is making sure that I cut fat and not weight. So as I've said before, my main goal with my first cut was just to see the scale weight go down. Like I didn't care what I had to do, but as long as the scale weight went down every single day, I was happy. But the thing is, now I know that that is like completely wrong. And that's only because I know the importance now of only losing fat and not weight in general. Because weight is like lean body mass, your muscle tissue, all the other things except from fat. The goal of this current cut is to just lose as much fat as possible. Like, let me explain it in this way. There's 2 people, right? Person A and person B. And let's just say they're both at 15% body fat. And they want to get down to like 10%. So they diet for 8 weeks, both of them. Now, person A only cares about the scale weight going down. And so to be 10% body fat, he loses like 7 kilograms. There, he's finally at 10% when he's lost 7 kilograms. Now, person B, he knows the importance of only losing fat and not general overall weight. Now, knowing this, Person B loses 3.8 kilograms, but now he is also at 10% because he's only lost fat. Now, person B's weight loss journey looks less impressive on the outside because he's only lost like 3.8 kilograms in 8 weeks, whereas person A, he's lost 7 kilograms. But who do you think is gonna look better when they both take their shirts off? Person B is still at 10%, but he's retained more muscle and he's at a higher body weight overall at 10%, which is gonna make him look phenomenal compared to person A. So the lesson that I've learned from this is that even though the scale weight might not drop as fast as I want it to every single week, or as fast as you want it to every single week, as long as you know that you're only losing fat and not weight in general, you're literally gonna reach your body fat percentage goal much faster and at a higher body weight, which automatically means you're gonna look better when you reach your goal. Now, this is pretty much the reason why I can see my abs more clearly at 77.5 kilograms than I could at, 72 kilograms on my previous cut. And it's solely because I've retained so much more muscle. Now, this is a nice little segue onto the next point. How are we gonna make sure that what we're losing is only fat and not muscle? Well, the first thing is to not drop your calories so low, but we've already covered that in point 1. So that brings us on to point number 3. The most essential macronutrient. And I know what you're thinking, no, it's not protein. So at this point, right, I've got a bunch of extra calories laying around because I told you that, I'm starting my calories at maintenance level. Now, those extra calories are gonna come solely from carbs. Now, I know what you're thinking, there's a whole bunch of shit going around the internet about, how carbs are evil, carnivore, keto, blah, blah, blah. But carbs have genuinely made me the biggest and the leanest that I've ever been in my entire life. Now, obviously, like a high carb diet isn't gonna be as satiating as, being on carnivore or being on keto. I'll give you that, but carbs are literally the number one thing if you genuinely care about your performance on the gym floor. And the thing is, they've not just improved my gym performance, it's literally skyrocketed it. Like, I'll give you a bit of an example, right? When I was on low carb, I was actually on carnivore for like a number of months, right? I could only incline press 30 kilograms for 6 to 7 reps. Now, for this current diet, I've been high carb now for like 8 to 10 weeks, right? During this time, my recent PR now is 40 kilograms for 12 reps. Now, bearing in mind, I'm still in a deficit and I've lost around 5 kilograms during this time. But this strength increase is solely due to carbs and step number 4, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the strength gains are absolutely undeniable. If you want to give yourself the best chance at looking aesthetic and looking lean and muscular when you finish your diet, there is no debate on whether or not you should add carbs to your diet. And for those of you that are wondering about like my current macros right now, my calories are 2,600. It's around 200 grams of protein. It's 56 grams of carbs, and I'm eating around 350 grams of carbs, which is a good amount, to be eating on a cut. So now that we've got all these extra carbs in our system, the next step outlines what exactly we're meant to do with those carbs and how we're going to use them in order to get shredded. Number 4, train every single muscle group at least twice a week. On my first cut that I talked to you about, I was only training every single muscle group at least like once per week. And don't get me wrong, like I was still making gains week on week, but I think that was mainly due to the fact that I was still kind of new to lifting. Now, I thought I could keep getting away with it, but my gains have slowed down. So for the past like 8 to 10 weeks, I've been implementing a new training split that trains each muscle group twice per week. Now, the reason for my insane strength gains that I've outlined just in the point before, 50% of it was due to the increased carbs, but the other 50% was that I was training every single muscle group twice per week. And if you're curious about the training split, I sort of ripped this off Tom Sergey as well. It's basically push, pull, legs, rest day, chest and back, shoulders, arms and abs, and then another rest day. Basically, training like this has literally made me feel like a superhero. Like, that feeling of like being pumped when you get home from the gym, and then that sort of like tense pump like stays with you for like a couple days. Well, basically on this training split, because you're hitting everything so frequently, you basically have like a constant feeling of like being big and like being pumped. And not only that, like I went from making minimal gains, I was sort of at like a beginner strength standard level. But now I'm actually getting really fucking strong on some lifts. Like for example, before training like this, I could only do about like 4 to 6 pull-ups at the max. But now after 8 to 10 weeks of training like this, of training my back twice per week, I can literally do an additional 15 kilograms and I can do that for 8 reps. And it's pretty much just because of this training split. So if you're training every single muscle like once per week, trust me, try it for like 2-3 weeks and I promise you, you're gonna make some insane strength gains. Now, another reason why I was able to build so much muscle was number 5, being excited to PR. Now, this is going to be a relatively short point, but I still do think it's important. There's basically no better method or no better like tactic to becoming more muscular or building more muscle, right? Other than being excited to get stronger and being excited to be in the gym. I can eat all the carbs I want, but if I don't give a shit about my performance on the gym floor, then I won't get the results that I'm looking for. So what I did was I set some real tangible strength goals that I was personally excited for. Like for example, I saw a short by Austin Dunham.
Why every man should be able to do 15 pull-ups.
And he basically said that you're not a man if you can't do at least 15 pull-ups. And I sort of sat back and I was just thinking like, yeah, shit, what the fuck? I can barely do like 4 pull-ups. And so I set that goal of being able to do 15 pull-ups and going to the gym, like to train back twice a week, starting on pull-ups, doing that made me genuinely excited to keep on progressing and to hit that standard of doing 15 pull-ups. And it took me like 4 to 6 weeks of doing that. But the point is, set goals that make you excited to achieve them. And now my current goal is to hit 20 kilograms on pull-ups for at least like 12 reps. Now, losing weight and looking better isn't tangible enough. And it's mainly because you're not going to see that much progress week on week. But when you set yourself these tangible strength goals, you can see like your progress climbing towards them very steadily week on week. And that just adds like this extra layer of motivation for you to just keep on hitting the gym, just to keep on showing up even though you don't want to. But like that's not even the case for me because like going to the gym is genuinely just the best part of my day now. Like I feel like a shell of myself when I don't go to the gym. Now, there's going to be quite a big downside to training intensely like this and to increasing your output. You are pretty much going to be fatigued and tired all the time. But that is where number 6 comes in, recovery. In making this point, I kind of just want to outline, why do we even need to recover? Well, it's basically muscle is built and fat is lost when you recover. The more you recover, the more muscle you're going to build and the more fat you're going to lose. It's literally like a magic cure to like the easiest gains you can make. Like that alone should want to make you maximize your recovery time. And so what do I mean by this? There was a really good quote from Mike Israetel, right? That calories are the second most important thing to help aiding your recovery. Now we sort of tackled this in point 1 where you're increasing your calories and you're eating way more. So that part is kind of covered. But the number 1 factor in recovery is sleep. If you're doing all the things that we talked about, high output, training 5 times a day, 10k steps, 20 minutes of cardio, you need to sleep really well. Like this is a non-negotiable. If you can't get good sleep, you might as well just not be in a fat loss phase. That's how serious this is. Like genuinely, I prioritize my sleep so much that I literally sleep for 9 to 10 hours every single night. I close my eyes at 10 o'clock and I don't wake up until 7. This is literally the best advice I can give. Make more time to sleep. Go to bed an hour earlier and wake up an hour later. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as easy as I'm saying it right now. We've all got jobs, we've all got exams, we've all got shit to do in our lives. But hey, I even prioritized sleep when I was losing weight and when I had my final exams just like a couple weeks ago. So it can be done and it should genuinely be done because it's one of the damn best things that I've ever done for my weight loss journey. With that, we can move on to the final point, number 7, maintenance breaks / refeed days. Now, I was incredibly stupid in my first cut. I pretty much thought that maintenance breaks or refeed days just didn't work. and that if I added in extra calories from what I was currently dieting on, that I would just gain a bunch of weight back and I would just get fat again. I was heavily into mentality of like, I'll just power through on my dieting phase. Like, why do I even need a break? I stand heavily corrected now. Imagine you're in a video game, right? You try and defeat that big boss, but you just get killed over and over again. But there's like a special perk, there's like a special power up that allows you to get revived like halfway through the fight when you die, so that you can have another chance to kill the boss. That is basically what maintenance and refeed days are. When the diet gets so tough that you can't handle it, or you're too busy with your other life activities, a maintenance break is gonna be key. As I mentioned before, right, at the start of this recent cut, I was planning to cut for 12 weeks, but at the end of week 8, that's when my exam season started. Now, I didn't want to be like, dieting throughout this period, like doing all these extra steps, being on like, a bit of lowered calories, whatever. So I simply went up to maintenance. So at the end of the 8 weeks before maintenance, I was on around 2100 calories and like a bunch of steps and a bunch of cardio. And I went up to my maintenance, which was 2800 calories. Now, this was my first time going to maintenance, right? Now, what I thought would happen was I just gained a bunch of extra weight and put on like a bunch of fat. But the exact opposite happened. I lost half a kilogram, even though I was eating 700 calories more. And then the weight loss plateaued and I maintained my weight perfectly for 2 weeks while I was dealing with like exams. But the best thing about this maintenance break was that it pretty much reset my metabolism. So that pretty much when I started dieting again, like 4 or 5 days ago, I went from 2800, I took away 200 calories and I've started losing weight on that again, which is absolutely insane to think about. And it sort of blows my mind that I'm even able to do this, because I was such a big non-believer of like eating high calories and still losing weight. I thought it was only available for like people who use PEDs or steroids. Now, I've recently come across a channel called Adam Bunnell, and he pretty much talks about like how to, reset your metabolism and like how to get your calories way back up so you can start losing weight again. So I highly do recommend that you go and check him out. So that's what maintenance breaks are, but refeed days are pretty much like a smaller version of a maintenance break. Pretty much a tool you can bring out whenever you plateau in weight or your strength in the gym comes to a halt. Basically, for a refeed day, you jack up your carbs like really, really high, and that gets your weight loss train moving along again, and that sort of boosts your performance in the gym for like 2 weeks. And so how you carry out a refeed day is that you half your protein, but then you times your body weight in pounds by around 8 to 10, any number is fine, just pick one, and you eat that amount, that number you got, that is the amount of grams of carbs you need to eat that day. And your fats stay the same, by the way. And basically, if you've done it right, you should stay the exact same weight, but you've basically healed like a little bit of your diet fatigue so that your fat loss can start moving again. And with that, boys, those were the 7 habits that I've learned that makes losing weight so much easier than I ever could have imagined. Now, with that being said, if you'd like personalized help from me so that you can reach your goals much faster and much easier, you can click the top link in the description below.